went live.
Share screen.
Yeah. I don't know if the Twitch stream is working or not. Oh, it is up.
Yep, it's
All right,
on.
we're in
You're
business.
good.
Okay, let me swap.
Zeri ban. Jason plays Zeri. Interesting. Did not know that.
Yeah. I think the two teams, NC State is very comfortable and tried and true playing just a standard like tank top, mage mid, like ganking skirmish jungle, and just hyper carry bot lane. So I think for pick ban phase,
It's Yo front to back the Taylor's ult this time.
yep. So I think for like bans, Georgia Tech is gonna aim to ban away like the meta hyper carry Zeri as well as Bob Timer's Sedge, and yep, Nami makes sense to deny like Illusion Nami lane. Whereas NC State wants to make sure that Bob Timer can get away with playing a tank top without being punished too hard in the side lane. So we've seen Georgia Tech play champions like Camille and Fior in their past few games, so it makes sense that State is looking to ban those away in the first phase.
Yeah, the orange left open here for Bob Timer, which is obviously a comfort pick, but if they do have first pick, they could take it away.
Definitely a good comfort pick in this scenario, as it feels a very similar role to set 20 overall in the comp.
Yeah.
Okay, Senna ban is interesting. I'm wondering if there are games. Senna did recently get buffed, and she's been coming back into the meta. It is Ramadan, so fasting Senna would be like twice as strong. So I think it's a good ban from State, just to like
This is
deny
true.
any lanes they
Yeah.
might not be comfortable playing against.
Yeah.
The fasting sun is
The
is
cultural
definitely-
awareness here from NC State's pretty unparalleled.
Yeah, it is. All right.
Gonna
Thresh.
Get, yeah, Thresh a comfort pick.
Thresh also hinting to a possible pairing of Aphelios or one of the other hyper carry but less mobile
Yeah,
bot laners to go with it. Need
Aphelios,
something to get out of Wukong.
yeah, Aphelios is like a good pairing. I don't think it's one of Jason's specialties. I think Jinx is more his style, which
Yeah,
he's hovering.
Jinx
a lot
is
better.
definitely right up his lane.
Yeah, definitely seeing what we expected so far from NC State, just picking like a very standard bot lane hyper carry ADC with a peel support. Thresh is going to help a lot against Wukong. If he can land the flay on the Wukong, it really denies with Glacial a lot of like Wukong's potential.
Yeah, but see, this is the problem with the Senna ban. Yeah, as you leave open Rakan Zaya, which is obviously top of the order right now for bot lane.
Yeah, I'm expecting just a lot of engage to try and get on top of Jinx. Thresh can only deny like so much engage, but like Rakan Flash Charm, Wukong Flash R as well. It's going to be hard for Jason to survive.
That's and if they pick mid here, they're gonna need to pick another Peel champ, maybe a Syndra, maybe a Seraphine. It's definitely in his pool. Karma would be good here as well, which is another comfort pick.
Gragas. So I think Gragas is just a really strong pick in the meta right now because he is flexed into like 3 different roles. You can play him top, jungle, or mid, and NC State has not shown any of those roles for sure yet. So this Gragas pick is pretty strong, I would say, on R3 because Georgia Tech can't really be 100% sure where the Gragas is going to go. So it's hard to commit like a hard counter pick in top lane, for example, into something will smash Gragas but allow Bob Timer to counter pick. So I really like the Gragas pick here. It provides even more counter engage for the Jinx. He can literally just be like a meat shield to deny Wukong with his body slam, deny Rakan with a body slam, and he has the explosive cask if they do get on top of Jason. So I think it is a strong pick, and we just see more bans targeted to the solo lanes from NC State. Whereas I think Georgia Tech is looking to target Pessoa in the mid lane because NC State is playing with a substitute mid. So they're looking to take away safe picks like Seraphine and Karma.
Both of the safe picks that would have worked really well with the comp. That definitely closes the door on a lot of NC State's mid laners picks.
Definitely.
Because obviously they want to save Bob here for last pick, so you would assume, or they'll just pull out the Ornn right now.
Yeah, I think picking Ornn is fine if your thought process is no matter what, odds are Bob Timer will be playing something like Ornn or Scion or Cho'Gath. Saving that for R5 doesn't really give you that much benefit if you've already
Yeah.
banned out champions like Camille and Fiora. You're saying,
Let's
you know,
see.
guys, I'm definitely playing a tank, so let me just pick it here and we'll save counter pick.
Yeah, and it just shows confidence in Pessoa, NC State's mid laner, that he has a deep enough champion pool to counter whatever Georgia Tech picks here.
Yeah.
I believe I've heard inklings that he actually has a champion Ocean overall. There's
Champion Ocean.
He does indeed. He does indeed.
there's a genuine chance here. I would say that the Gragas goes mid. It's, in my experience and from looking, the Gragas into Wukong jungle is not a particularly favored one early. You get the peel, but there's really no pressure off of it.
Yeah.
This Kennen hover is really interesting.
Yeah. This
Kennen
does-
Kennen
this
received
signals
buffs.
Cho'Gath mid, expecting Gragas mid.
Yeah,
Kennen
it is like I think Ken and Cho, these are both like double flex champs. I could definitely see Cho'Gath going mid lane, especially if it's a champion that's not really going to punish him in lane phase. It's pretty easy for him to just farm mid. And Kennen did receive buffs, and he has always been a champ that can go either top or mid. So
Yeah.
I like the Kennen Cho rotation.
I like the Lissandra pick here.
Lissandra's a really strong pick into the enemy comp.
Yeah,
Definitely.
really good for peel, especially if we're playing the Jason carry. Getting to hold that Cho'Gath away from getting to get close enough to ult the Jinx, and then just the classic ult on Kennen as soon as he pops Proto Belt towards you.
Yep. So then the name of the game is just 5v5 team fighting for both of these teams. We'll have to see how strong Kennen is. If he gets strong enough, I think there will be potential for him to create pressure on the side lane. He should definitely beat Ornn later in the game. He should beat Lissandra as well if he's still in the game. So there might be the chance for Georgia Tech to pressure the map through like side lane pressure, but I think most likely we will just be having a lot of banger 5v5 fights around Dragon, around Baron.
Yeah, because that same opportunity to roam is just as viable for Lissandra.
Definitely.
Once she gets a bit rolling, she can wave clear and move around the map extremely fluidly.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting picks here. NC State going very traditional to their core.
Yep. So I
The
think
draft I really like though. Really clean cut, easy to execute. So as long as the
Yeah.
Jinx doesn't get
But
ran down in the bot
yeah.
lane.
Georgia Tech's comp is really good as well.
yeah, I think the name of the game is going to be flanks for Georgia Tech, whereas NC State can just play a more standard front to back. But if
Yeah.
Wukong or Kennen can find like backline access, it might be hard for Jinx to survive just because it is pretty easy for Thresh, Lissandra, Ornn to sit in front of Jinx and just deny like a Wukong engage. But if Kennen finds like a good TP flank and he has flash up, then Jinx can get pressured from both sides. And if Jinx dies in the team fight, NC State really loses, I would say, like 80% of their consistent team fight damage. So it's going to be a lot of execution-based team fights.
And having someone like Cho'Gath, a tank that can just eat abilities and force NC State on the cooldowns, is going to allow like Rakan to flash in, Wukong to, even if he's not flanking, to get in more easily. I think the Cho'Gath pick is really, really strong with how much pressure the rest of the comp can provide.
Definitely.
Yeah, I do want to add, not only just flanking is the name of the game for team fights, but there's a way to get it shut down much earlier. Where if you just send everything to constant dive bot, make this Jinx's life just awful for the early game. There's no chance the rest of the team kills Cho'Gath with any semblance of good timing.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're gonna do here. They're gonna have to play hard bot side. Obviously, no jungler is pathing towards Cho Ornn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's gonna be a snooze fest in the top lane for sure.
yeah,
Um,
Bob Timer classic for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, Bob Timer is really comfortable in these situations. I am surprised that Iron Tissue did not find another champion to pick into Ornn. I think like Camille, Fiora, Gwen being gone does make it pretty hard for him, but I feel like I don't know. I would have preferred to see something that could threaten Ornn and put pressure on State because if you look at NC State's match history, I would say almost every single one of their games and every match is just standard 5v5 team fighting. There are a lot of top laners banned. Yes, that does make it hard to like reach that deep into the pool, but opting into Cho'Gath Ornn is just kind of like, I think, a weak pick because you're saying
Yeah.
I don't really have an answer for you if you are blind picking Ornn, and that lets NC State know that they can just keep getting away with it for the rest of the set.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they showed their hand basically without picking anything.
And it could come down as well to something like champion pool, but I mean, a good option immediately after just a farm free stuff off Horn would be going into the GP, or even though it's going down into a weaker pool of champions, you can always grab the KO and look for the kill Wukong dive together.
I find the Gragas pick really saved NC State draft because it forced some mid bans out.
Yeah. I really,
pick
really
was
like
unbelievably
the Gragas pick here. It's a really strong flex pick in general. And individually, I think Gragas is an S tier pick in pretty much all three of the positions he's played in right now. In the jungle, you just build him like full damage, and he just one-shots everything. Top lane, mid lane, you just go row, and you can kind of just like scale and be like a hybrid tank and mage. So really, really strong pick for NC State here. Which, let me get the scoreboard showing. Where is it? Sticky. There we go. Alright, so yeah, I mean, you see this a lot in this meta, just 10-man run bot, try and get an early ward because it can allow for a lot of lane pressure, but NC State is just doing a 5-point. I feel like they know they probably just lose the 5v5 level 1. Zyrakon is really strong level 1.
Yeah.
So we see them just going for a 5-point.
Yeah, I would say really, really textbook start here, of course, with more aggro side going in for the 5 bot, try to get, and then just a classic match all entries to the jungle for the side of NC State. But overall, looking, I'd like to add Dark Harvest on the Gragas as an interesting pick overall.
Yeah, I mean, like Romy said, Gragas' damage is absurd this patch.
Oh yeah.
So catering to it with the Dark Harvest, it's probably his best rune. You can go first strike, but I don't think he's going to be able to make enough use of it to justify it.
Yeah, in the jungle, you're not really going to get to farm your first strike off of like a lane opponent, so going Dark Harvest is definitely the move.
Especially with an orange Cho'Gath top, you know, you can really only gank 2 lanes.
Yeah, it makes sense overall with their big beefy boy scaling of trying to get the Jinx in a front-to-back late game. Otherwise, I would say I would maybe prefer the electrocute so that there's more lane pressure, but with top mid being not ungankable, but definitely hard to actually get a kill out of while ganking. Dark
Interesting.
Harvest should be fine.
Interesting word from the Kennen. I mean, you basically already know that the Gragas is going to path down, so you could really just save it and maybe try and get a better timer by putting it in that bottom river, but to each their own. It looks like we're going to have like a 3-minute, 30-second fight go down here.
Yeah,
with both junglers just pathing down.
Yeah, as we expected in draft, they're not really looking to make any top plays happen, so both jungles are clearing down. Bob Timer Diff did skip Krug, so he will be able to impact bot side first. He has 3 camps done, but he's not actually level 3. So
yeah, he did not take one of the 2 buffs, so he would not be able to get level 3 off a 3 camp. Both bot lanes hitting level 2 at the identical time, so no action there.
And just farming in the top, trading grass procs. And in a matchup like this, it's just like, can I get more grass procs than my opponent? If so, I wouldn't.
That's the win condition, really. It is the win condition.
Farm the health for late game.
It's a fun mini game.
Bigger meatball during those team fights.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
We see a lane gank trying to come through, but there is a really, really good lane ward. So I think State should be fine.
They can smell this coming from a mile away that they're gonna get ganked at 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So to get a ward down about a minute in.
Bob Timer Diff is hovering. Crab is spawning.
Rakan EW in and back out. Hook into the Jinx trap, and it should be a kill. Heal coming out from Georgia Tech. Ignite down. Nothing happened yet. Lethal Tempo didn't proc for either side, so we might not get a re-engage here. Bob Timer Diff E is in, but Rakan able to get out. Oh, flash hook from Redkin. And both flashes down, all sums down for Georgia Tech bot lane.
Oh, the Guardian barely keeping bond here at the end, coming back up.
Yeah, coming through insanely clutch for Georgia Tech. In this
Hey, it's a
situation.
banger in the bot lane, as expected.
Absolutely.
You
Okay,
called
we
it. I
can
mean, you
scuffle.
said the 330 play, but I do think this advantages NC State really heavily. Not only health bars, but like lane pressure, sums off of Zyra Khan make them really vulnerable. Jinx
Yep.
kept her flash, and that's like the biggest part of all of this
And
is making sure
I was gonna
she
say.
can get through early game.
yeah.
It's also a big deal as the for genuine just lane pressure. The Thresh is going to have a lot more pressure over the Rakan when it comes to getting a 2v2 engage. Due to the
A
Jinx
big
rule.
reason you'd pick Rakan here is that he can move on the map. I mean, obviously, Georgia Tech has the advantage here mid lane with a sub in for NC State if Rakan's able to move and force that even further. But being flashless makes it really hard to get on top of a champion like Lissandra.
Oh yeah. A lot of damage, but Bob
yeah, a
Timer
lot of
Diff
damage
is
coming
here.
through mid lane. Pessoa's able to
Oh
get out
my
first.
gosh.
Blood's gonna go through to Bob Timer Diff. Hook coming through bot lane. No flash on the Rakan. Can Jason get the autos off? No. Rakan able to jump out.
Really a beautiful
Thresh
outplay.
landing hook after hook. This bot lane.
Yeah, beautiful outplay there out of Pessoa, the sub mid laner for NC State, with the throwing Lissandra E up, moving down so as to sort of fake out the cannon while he's getting CC'd by the Gragas,
Absolutely.
barely getting him out of there.
Champion Ocean and mechanical difference. Maybe you should become the full-time mid laner.
So with NC State basing here, I'm expecting them to just play for this Mountain Drake. Bob Timer Diff has not reset yet, but he should after Krug. So
Yeah. After Krugs, he'll be about 2 or 3 camps ahead, and he'll be on tempo with bot lane. The wave state for a bot lane looking like it's going to come back towards NC State if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it should be.
They'll need to thin that out and get that fixed before. I guess they could fight without priority since they do have summoner advantage, but don't think they want to do that yet.
With the wave
Yeah.
coming into state, they have two options. Either you can just like hold a freeze at your tower, create pressure, or you can shove it in and look for the Drake. It seems like
Yeah.
they're opting to let it come into them for now.
Yeah.
We see Reddit Queen is like hovering around mid, contesting that river vision. But I would like to see them just shove this wave out and take Drake because their bot lane, while like the gold is even on items, they do have a big sum advantage, and Xayah should be really vulnerable before level 6. Like this is your timer to punish her.
And you have no trouble doing it with Jinx. Yeah, and we see that Wukong is able to get on the dragon first. A lot of vision here from Georgia Tech on the bot side. They know exactly where Gragas is. Obviously, they know the bot lane's allowing it to shove in. A bit of a misplay here for NC State.
Yeah.
Some damage coming through here top lane.
Yeah, Cho'Gath looking to set up a freeze there, but Bob Timer pulling up to
Yeah.
get it broken, walking past the Cho'Gath queue. A little bit of a tussle, but
Yeah.
probably nothing much to come out of it here in the bot side by Dragon.
Yeah, just small tempo gap leads to a dragon. I mean, you see that all the time in the early game. It doesn't really matter who gets the kill. It's about who has the tempo when it comes to dragon.
Yeah. Now it is going to be kind of awkward. We see like a really big wave forming for NC State. So normally when you have a wave like this crashing, you want to use this as a window to do something on the map. Like let Reddit Queen roam mid, look for a Drake, but Drake is off the map. There's so much vision here in the bot side river, so if Reddit Queen does go for a roam mid, it will be fully on vision. So there's not really like any threat for NC State now. So they kind of just let the dragon go, but it did result in Jason getting like a decent CS lead. So it could just be NC State saying, honestly, first Drake, we don't care too much about it. We know if it goes late, we'll be fine regardless. So we're going to let the
That's
Drake
why
go
they-
and we'll just farm.
Yeah, that's why they pick how they do. I mean, first two Drakes doesn't really matter since they pick to play late.
Yeah, overall pretty even game still. Gonna be, like we said, gonna stifle here for a little while as we slowly creep towards the end game. Just a little bit tense CS diff.
Some action
NC State
top
favored by.
side. We have 3 members from Georgia Tech. Doesn't look like we'll get anything though.
Having support room up already, but they saw Lissandra was already on the move up river, and
Yeah.
just in a damage diff there, it would be a little NC State favored. Even later into as there's so much survivability through Ornn and Gragas. And ward off, so they know their Herald's being taken here, but
Yeah, NC State
But-
is really heavily playing for Herald. We see Jason rotating mid lane.
Yeah.
This does completely drop bot wave though for Glory. He can just feel free to push out this wave. I want to see him just full shove the wave, try for maybe a plate or two. Will make it so the value of the Herald is kind of like nullified by Xayah just getting the chance to get solo XP, get a wave, get plates. But Jason is
crashing
making
a
it
cannon
back
wave
in
like
time.
that is gonna make it so that Jason only loses 1 minion.
Yeah, not the worst at all. It definitely does benefit State in the long run.
Yeah, with only I believe 1 plate coming down, it's still heavily State leaning when it comes to the gold skew off getting Herald there.
It's going to be interesting to see where Bob Timer Diff wants to drop this Herald. I mean, Bob Timer himself has had prio pretty much the entire game topside. Getting gold onto him wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe he saves it for next Drake coming up soon to get some prio mid or bot.
Yeah, we've got next Drake in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So Herald will be droppable for Dragon. So like you said, I think saving it for then would be the best play. I do want to see them use it bot side for sure. I think, like you said, Bob Timer, he has been having pressure topside, but I think giving him gold doesn't really change anything for State. And top tower isn't really like a huge objective.
Oh, Wukong going in on Jay. Jazz able to flash out, hooks coming through, Jinx W going wide, able to get some rockets off, Bob Timer Diff hovering, nothing coming through.
Overall, just a burnt flash from the Jinx there after getting out with Thresh Lantern and popping Threshold, but again, not that long cooldown overall. And
but that's also a Recon Flash.
Yeah,
Recon Flash, which obviously Jinx Flash is huge, but in my opinion, the Recon Flash is almost just as important to Georgia Tech in terms of their engage here.
Yeah.
Do keep the Cannon Flash though in this situation, and with the team fight in a minute, a level 9 Cannon. That's extremely threatening.
Yeah, and that is the biggest thing.
Flash gone off of Jinx too. Not being able to get out of that cannon R.
Exactly. It is going to be
keep
tricky.
That Thresh behind. Yeah.
Next objective is Dragon. So we see NC State bot lane. They crash their wave. They're basing. We'll see how much gold. That should be like either a pick or a noon quiver for Jason on the Jinx. So they are going to have more skirmish power, I would say, in the bot side for sure. The only issue is Kennen has flash and Jinx does not. Wukong also has flash. His Cyclone should be up by the time Drake spawns. Oh, it'll actually be up 5 seconds after. So Jinx is going to feel a lot of pressure in this fight, if they do fight.
Top lane, we got some damage going down. Dropping the R, Bob Timer. Redirects it to the Cho'Gath flash. Don't think he'll have enough damage. Bob Timer flashes. He does have enough damage to get the solo kill.
Bob Timer showing almost perfect mastery there. His damage numbers on the horn.
The triple brittle combo. Really good from Bob Timer.
Yeah, and
also
I think
waited out the flash too, out for the Cho'Gath to redirect his ult.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing when Ornn is ulting. You can't flash early. Like, you really just have to wait until Ornn redirects his ult before you flash. If you flash that early, it's just so free for him.
Yeah, you have to perfect flash and either flash completely in opposite direction or try to flash over it, which is an almost impossible feat.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech really controlling River Vision, able to get the first 2 dragons off of that. NC State had the tempo, but it looks like they lost out some mid-prio from bad trades.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be like a rough lane matchup, I think, especially when we saw Pessoa roam bot. I think it was either level 3 or level 4. When you commit to a heavy bot roam and your lane is not in the best spot, you kind of get punished. Jason should be
there we
fine.
go. That's what Thresh is going to have to do when Jinx's flash is down. He's going to have to sit back and have these safety lanterns.
Yeah.
Be a bunless flash in his own right.
Yeah, because, I mean, even if he gets the flay coming out here.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
I believe this will be
Lethal
a
Temple
death for
procced for Jinx, gets the reset, doesn't wish to keep going in, kill going on to Jazz, first of the game.
Big room here, but it's
Blast cone, possible for Justin over the wall. Huge W from Pessoa. Double kill to Bob Timer Diff. Flash out from Xayah. Really big plays for NC State here. Up 3k gold despite losing both the dragons.
Yeah, big damage combo out of the mid jungle there with Lysandra Gragas having full AoE. Whenever you're stacked up like that, it's just almost doom.
Yeah, it was really good movement there from Pessoa. Only, not even in CS, better KP, no deaths, playing really good as a sub here.
Yep, Pessoa's doing awesome. I also want to point out this first item from Bob Timer. I think it is a really, really smart purchase. He's playing against a magic damage top laner and a magic damage mid laner. And in addition to that, his jungle, his mid both do pretty much only magic damage, and so does Ornn. So he is going to be in their face, and being able to shred the magic resist of Georgia Tech's frontline is going to give value not only to him, but also his other damage threats, and it makes him tankier against the Cho'Gath and the Kennen. So I really, really like this first item from him.
I mean, that's definitely one of Bob Timer's strengths, is he knows how to build game in and game out.
Yeah, I really like to see as well the, I guess, adaptation for the patch in general. And currently, Gragas opting into Night Harvester instead of the Everfrost of Ages Old. Now that he's up 3-0, looking for full damage, already had the Hextech Alternator beforehand.
Oh yeah, that double kill is huge.
We see Rift Herald up in 20 seconds. NC State rotating up. I think they want to get it again. As Cho'Gath resets, they might be able to get it without getting any blood on their hands. Uncontested Rift Herald again.
Well, with bot already showing topside, it looks as though Georgia Tech maybe sort of posturing to maybe not directly contest in a team fight, but at least show a little presence to get them to hesitate.
With the Hextech gates, they definitely can get there a lot quicker.
Yeah. Map rotations here are going to be a lot easier. You can take a bad trade, go back, and then gate back out into the map.
Interesting build here from the Cho'Gath, a Jack Show. I think it's a good build, though. I think it's a good item for what Georgia Tech wants to accomplish. The arc out from Bob Timer Diff.
Almost a little
5
bit
here
of
for NC State on the Rift Herald.
Questionable
Hook coming out from Redukin. Not able to get anything out. Redirected R. Not going to serve any purpose, but NC State should be able to secure this Rift Herald relatively easily. Georgia Tech posturing up, though.
Yeah, looking for the counter engage. Now that they know
Huge engage. Cannon R goes down. Hook comes out from Redukin and a kill down to Thresh. Just not enough damage to kill Bob Timer.
Yeah, it's sort of lacking the damage. They took the 4
engage. Flash E from Bob Timer Diff. Xayah R coming out. Jinx W goes wide over the wall, but Lissandra W roots down the Wukong. It's going to be 7-0 NC State. 4K gold lead. Rift Herald being dropped mid. Looks like we're going to see a tower go down here mid. Cho'Gath bot lane able to get a good amount of gold, but definitely not.
Not gold as meaningful as all the gold that they put on the Gragas and the Jinx here in that scenario, as well. 2 towers going down off this Herald. It's been like a big swing. Of course, taking the 2 mid towers there gives a lot of opening up on the map with Dragon coming up soon, being able to rotate and try to push
that's why they play like that. They give up the first 2 dragons, but it's going to be relatively hard for Georgia Tech to get into the pit at all now. NC State's going to control a lot of the river vision.
I think it's just a really weird decision to make. We see NC State is opting in for like 0 risk gameplay. They're just literally 5-man walking into Herald and saying, we are going to take this. We are stronger than you. You cannot teamfight us. And Georgia Tech recognized that. They did send Iron Tissue bot lane, but then they still looked for an engage. They tried to make a fight happen, but they're outnumbered 4v5, and they just lose because of it. Like, you can give a Herald, but they opted in for a fight. They gave over 3 kills and 2 towers instead of just a Herald. So, interesting decision-making from them.
Georgia Tech looking for a bush play here. Pessoa sniffs it out, though. Rakan going in still. Gets Lissandra W down. Jinx under the turret's going to need a safety lantern. Nothing happening yet. Big play from Ornn here.
Having to bring the Gale Force out of the Xayah, but she's still going to have to walk back here.
Cho'Gath Q knocks up, buys them a bit more time. No flash here. Huge cask from Gragas. Cannon R coming out, stuns 2. Gragas goes down for the first kill of the game for Georgia Tech, but he does die for it. Jason able to proc lethal tempo. Will he have enough damage to secure the kill? He will, and this is going to be Dragon for NC State.
Yeah.
Yeah, 700 gold shutdown there going over to the Cho'Gath, but I don't know if that's the person that you want that 700 gold at the moment. And overall, NC State, of course, taking 4 kills and getting the Dragon, just not a trade that Georgia Tech is happy with.
And as you see, the whole team fight, Jace has just peeled the entire time. The only damage going on to him is when he got caught out under tower by Cannon, but other than that, kept safe the entire time. Bob Timer Diff is playing so good this game.
Yep.
Great cask, great flash E last team fight prior to this one. I mean,
we saw
that Gragas comfort.
Yeah, we saw Georgia Tech pick up the first 2 Drakes, which gets them like a good position to play for Soul, but I don't know. It's just like we said in draft, this game is really going to come down to execution. And we were pointing out how the champs like Wukong and Kennen have to look for a flank Otherwise, they will never ever be able to access the Jinx against a Thresh, against a Gragas, a Lissandra, and an Ornn. Like, those are 4 champs designed to counter-engage and peel your ADC. So, I don't know. I think, like, opting into just a normal front-to-back teamfight 5v5, especially when you're down, like, 4k gold in that fight, you're just kind of asking to lose the fight. So I really want to see Georgia Tech try and get more creative about how they're approaching these fights and look for off angles and flanks.
And it's not like Georgia Tech has to force here. They do have a comp that can go late as well. I mean, they have a Xayah, Kennen, Cho'Gath. I mean, Cho'Gath scales extremely hard. Maybe not as hard as Ornn does with the item he's able to give to his team, but definitely a really bad force there on that last dragon.
Yeah.
Jason alone here might get caught out. No, Bob Timer diff here to hover him.
NC State is dropping mid-wave, though.
Yeah, we see the Ornn R coming out. Able to redirect it. Xayah R, though, gets him out of it, but the Lissandra Flash W secures the kill on Xayah, and Rakan is able to get out.
Yeah, I mean, once again, they're just stepping up too far against an Ornn. They don't have any vision. Like, I'm just going to toggle their vision so we can see. Like, they have no idea where State can be, and they're trying to hit tier 1 tower, and they just get so easily punished.
Yep. Ornn from Fog of War almost unoutable for them. I mean, just hard to deal with outside Rakan. Xayah, of course, being mobile, having the R, but you got to come back down at some point.
There's Thresh hook just to secure the kill on Kennen. I mean, just too much damage to possibly survive. Inhibitor tower going to fall here at 20 minutes for Georgia Tech, and just more vision dominance about to go down here on the top jungle. Maybe we see a potential Baron play on this tempo reset here for NC State, but not if Bob Timer stays too long. First tower of the game going down, or second tower rather, for Georgia Tech. Going to be able to secure an objective bounty.
Yeah, they have a lull here.
Yeah, they think that the Baron play is going to come out. They're setting up for it, TPing towards it. Bob Timer is not going to be able to come in anytime soon.
Yeah,
has to survive. Cho'Gath Q, Rakan getting in there. Jason relatively safe, able to fire from the back line.
He's reset.
Kill goes to Gragas. Lethal Tempo is procced. Back off flank from Ornn.
Oh,
Reddick back in with a hook. Kill going to Bob Timer. Oh, Kennen R shredding the Ornn, but 2 for 3. Not terrible. Not terrible for Georgia Tech. Kiting coming out here from Glory. Ooh, Jinx W just short. Stepping on the vision. Looks like they're going to chase it. Flash from the Ornn, secure the kill. And Jason looking a bit like an assist here, support here this game with 8 assists. You would like to see a couple more of these kills in the team fight going through to him.
And if we look at the side, Glory just got his ult up. So if we remember when they got caught mid lane, hitting the tier 1 tower, he lost the Featherstorm and the Flash on that play. And he did not have either of those cooldowns available for that fight. I think that fight could have looked very, very different if he had just one of those, let alone both. But with him lacking like all of the cooldowns to keep himself peeled in a game like this, it just feels so hard for him to actually hit in the team fight.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things where you need to be cognizant of it as the ADC. Like, you know,
what is this?
Here.
What is this?
Wow, Georgia Tech gonna greed for the tower. I don't even think there was an objective bounty on it. There must have been.
There was, but there goes Nash.
There goes Nash. Yeah, you lose your jungler for 350 gold. I mean,
I was gonna say I could see sending the Cho'Gath up there at least, but someone maybe if you're feeling that desperate. But sending jungler while Baron's up and the entire team is half a lane away is just not.
Yeah.
Good.
Kennen has Flash and R though. That's what I'm looking at this fight. We have to watch Kennen here.
Iron Tissue with somewhat of a flank TP. NC State gonna fall off the Baron here. We're gonna see a Baron dance, possibly. It looks like both teams don't want to fight this. Wukong back up, gonna be able to use the Hex Gates to get in. And Georgia Tech looking to redirect immediately to Dragon. NC State back onto the Baron. Sneaky from them. The Kennen is here. I just don't know if this is his play, however. And Georgia Tech walking back up. NC State can shred this with the Jinx, but
beautiful hook
into the threat and box. Flash R, but he's dead. The R does not get redirected from Ornn. 3-0 here for NC State. Reducan able to stop, watch the damage. Jason able to get his resets, fly around, and it looks like this would be a clean ace as long as the bot lane for State's able to stay alive, and they are 5-0 for NC State. And since the wave's not up, they'll just secure this Baron.
Yeah, I mean, Reddit Queen's hook was just so beautiful and spot on there. If Kennen has like a bit more health, here, we'll go back and watch again since they're just going to take Nash. But if Kennen has like a bit more health here when he looks for the flash in, he's able to shred all of the carries on NC State. In addition, if he has like a Zanya's stopwatch, instead of the Fiendish Codex, that could also help him a lot here. But like, he starts off the flash at half health, so before he can proc his stun, he's already dead. And then by that point, the fight is just over.
It's definitely interesting not having a stopwatch 23 minutes into the game as a Kennen when you're so important to the team fight. NC State able to secure the Baron off that. And as we see now, they tempo reset off the Baron recall straight into a Dragon.
Looking for the steal. Does not find
able to secure it. He's W's over the wall, but you kind of have to at this point. It scores 3-24. You're down 10k gold, and your win condition is maybe a soul.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to call it early here, but that is looking to be about all she wrote. Because even at the moment, as you said, with the last fight, Kennen having a little bit more health, being able to get on the carries, but he's still lacking damage at this point, especially with the build going into a event.
Yeah, I mean, it is a 10k gold lead. In addition, Bob Timer is level 15, so he has been able to upgrade both the Kraken Slayer and the Night Harvester for the Gragas and the Jinx. So the gold lead is more so like 15k at this point if you take those items into account. So they're just so far behind, and they already suffer in a front-to-back. So if they keep looking for these fights where they're just trying to walk into NC State's face, it's not going to get any better.
Yeah, that's kind of NC State just seizing with the Baron here. Kennen takes the tower topside, but loses 2 inhibitors for it. Might potentially lose the game as there's no lacking of wave here for NC State.
NC State
goes wide. Yeah, they want to end here. Don't see how Georgia Tech can deny them. They have no way of getting in this or engaging any sort of fight. These cannon minions are just able to pound the towers down with the Baron buff.
Say three Baron up cannons.
Jinx just throwing out W's one after the other. Ragus Cask destroys the backline here for Georgia Tech, and they just can't do anything to stop this siege here from NC State. Flash in from the Wukong ER.
Not able to get on the Jinx,
still no stopwatch. R does shred down relatively well. Lissandra falls. R secures a kill for NC State, and the backline just able to peel Jason long enough that he shreds everyone down. And that will be game 1 for NC State of the best of 5.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful game from State. They played to their win con. They played to their strengths. They said, hey, we're not taking any risks. We're going to let these first 2 dragons go. We're going to scale. We're going to get Jason items. Wait for Jinx to be fed. Be strong before we opt into 5v5s. And they won from better macro, better team play, and better decision making.
And it wasn't a draft difference at all. It simply was just better execution in the game.
Yeah. We are going to restart the stream really quickly just to make sure that the delay is on. And we will be back with game 2 very shortly.